Welcome to Retirement with Jim. So today we're going to talk about things to think about, consider as you get ready to go into retirement. So before we get started, if you like my content, please subscribe to my channel. Helps my channel grow. Along with that, if you feel leave comments. I love to hear from you. Agree, disagree, things you think I might leave out and want to discuss in future videos, let me know. So with that, let's get started. So things to consider as you get ready to go into retirement. Looking at a research study by JP Morgan Research, they were looking at housing and where the housing market is kind of headed. So as they look at that and think about this from it, many of us, we sell our homes in retirement to downsize and then use the rest of the funds to live on, go into as part of our retirement income. So it's something to consider. And especially, I advocate, retiring on a modest budget. So, a lot of this is, quite important on a modest budget. If you are someone who has saved millions of dollars, life's a lot easier for you. But for the average person who maybe isn't going to hit that mark, you really need to consider all of your options. And one of them, of course, is selling your home as you go into retirement, downsize, and help finance, besides what you've saved, the rest of those funds into your retirement fund. So they're looking at that and they're saying, hey, the market is staying steady. It's probably going to rise about 3% for this year. But it's starting to show signs that it's slowing down, the growth. So it's something to consider. Now, along with that, you as a seller, you have to really consider, what's the buyer's situation. And you need to think about it because your end needs them, to complete that transaction. So the interest rate currently is probably going to level off at 6.7%, quite high. So that's going to reduce the amount of people that have the option and the ability to be able to buy a home. So it's just something to consider, keep in the back of your mind. How hard will it be? And most homes on average sell in a little under 30 days, but they're starting to see it, creep up, going more like the 30 to 90 day time period, which still isn't bad, but just something to think about, that it is starting to creep up and take longer. So, it's something to consider, in terms of your retirement. So kind of next up on the list is, things to think about in retirement or going in is online banking. So many of us have money in the big banks, the brick and mortar, B of A and Wells Fargo, Chase, all of the big banks that, but along with that, they don't pay you any money on your savings or your checking. You don't make a dime on that. And it's time to consider online banking because they offer a lot. They offer actually up to 4%, a little bit higher, but most up to about 4% on your money that is in the digital bank. Go along with that, a lot of them have no minimum requirement, balance. So they are really making it attractive to put your money into on the online banking, the digital banking. And let's face it, digital banking is where all of it's going. So why shouldn't you get more money for the money you have with them? In the brick and mortar, your money is benefiting the bank, the brick and mortar. It isn't benefiting you, in terms of growing. Digital, on the other hand, and you start if you have a comfort level where you're like, I don't know if I want to do it, we'll start out with a smaller sum. Put in a little bit into that and see how it goes and grows. That might, of course, influence you and make you change your mind. You've got places like American Express has online banking. They are offering 3.8%. Capital One is offering 3.8%. Synchrony Bank is offering 4%. So you've got a number of places, and those are like the three that I looked at. There are quite a few more, but they all are averaging around 4% return on your money. Not bad. That's better than the zero, that you're basically getting from the big banks. They don't look at it as worth their time, I suppose. So something to consider as you're getting ready, of course, to retire. Where's your money at? Because you want your money to work for you at that time. You want it to grow and continue to grow. Next up is you kind of want to look at where, what's the next. The Trump administration, the next administration. I'm not political. I'm not pro Republican or pro Democrat, but what kind of effect are they going to have, on your future, your ability to have a comfortable retirement? Trump talked about, no taxes on senior. That's a great thing. Now, that will cause if it did come to pass, and keep in mind, all of those are campaign promises. Many times they're just promises that are meant to be broken. Along with that, it's like if it does come, he doesn't get to do anything about it. It's Congress. So now, if they did do it, that would be good for a lot of people. But it also speeds up the end of life for Social Security, meaning that Congress needs to address that sooner. And they're going to have to address it with 70 million plus people on Social Security. It's not a program that can just disappear, but it's got to be looked at, adjusted, and fixed in the long run. So along with that, it's, you want to be able to say, okay, what's the best thing for me? Is, selling my house and downsizing, is it a good thing? Make your money work for you. You want to be able to have some really good, solid plans. Because remember, I was looking at something that showed 63% of people can't cover a $500 emergency. And that went down from a $1,000 emergency. Now, that's kind of important because are you prepared, in retirement, to be able to have the funds set aside, that emergency fund? It's really important because you don't want to put that on credit card. You don't want to pay for that, and add additional debt at a time, excuse me, when you no longer have a steady job. And so taking on additional debt in retirement, not a great plan. Excuse me. So you kind of have to look at some of those, it's amazing how in today's world people are one step closer to being out of a job or homeless or closer to poverty than we all think. Don't want to sound like a Debbie Downer and this is negative, but it's just reality. So when you're and the reason I say that is you're planning for your retirement, you got to plan for all of the things that you need to look at. And looking at, are you prepared for things? Can you cover things? It's important to know that. So with that in mind, keep in thought that you've got to be able to cover all your bases, do your research, take a look at, what's necessary, and take a look at how are you doing as you get ready. Is it the time to sell your home? Is it time to wait? Is it time to take a look at online banking? There's a lot of things to look at and consider. Make sure that you are as prepared as possible. So with that, I'm going to say have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.